Alcatraz Island is a small island located in the San Francisco Bay, about 2.4 kilometers or 1.5 miles offshore from San Francisco, California. The island covers an area of approximately 22 acres and has a rich history as a military fortification, military prison, and federal jail. In 1850, the U.S. government began construction of a military fort on Alcatraz Island to protect San Francisco Bay. During the Civil War, the fort served as a military prison for Confederate soldiers and political prisoners. In 1933, the federal government established a federal prison on the island, which became notorious for housing some of the most dangerous and infamous criminals of the time. The prison operated for 29 years and was home to notorious inmates such as Al Capone and Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz. In 1963, the prison was closed due to the high operating costs and the deteriorating condition of the facility. Today, Alcatraz Island is part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area and is a popular tourist destination. Visitors can take a ferry to the island and explore the remains of the military fort and the former prison. The island also features several historic gardens and offers stunning views of San Francisco Bay and the city skyline. Overall, Alcatraz Island's history and legacy represent a complex and multifaceted aspect of American history, with important implications for law enforcement, incarceration, civil rights, and the treatment of marginalized groups in the United States. In this video, we'll discover some interesting facts about the island's early history, the federal penitentiary years and its end, and some of the engineering marvels of Alcatraz Island. Alcatraz Island, also known as The Rock, has a long and rich history that dates back to pre-colonial times. The island was first discovered and inhabited by the Ohlone people, who were the indigenous inhabitants of the San Francisco Bay Area. The Ohlone people, also known as the Constanoans, were skilled hunters and gatherers who lived in small, self-sufficient communities throughout the region. They recognized the strategic value of Alcatraz Island, located at the center of San Francisco Bay, and used it for various purposes. One of the primary uses of Alcatraz Island by the Ohlone people was as a source of food. The island was home to various fish, shellfish, and other marine life, which the Ohlone people harvested using nets, hooks, and other traditional methods. The island was also used for hunting, particularly the large flocks of seabirds that nested there. The Ohlone people continued to use Alcatraz Island for thousands of years until the arrival of European colonizers by the late 18th century. In 1775, Spanish explorer Juan Manuel de Ayala became the first European to sail into San Francisco Bay, including the area that is now Alcatraz Island. Over the following decades, other European explorers and colonizers arrived in the region, including Russian fur traders and American settlers. In the mid-19th century, during the height of the California gold rush, the U.S. government recognized the strategic value of San Francisco Bay. It began constructing a series of military fortifications throughout the region. Alcatraz Island was identified as a critical location for an Army fort due to its central location and natural defenses. In 1850, the U.S. Army began constructing a military fort on Alcatraz Island, Fort Alcatraz. The defense was designed to house a garrison of soldiers who could defend San Francisco Bay from potential attacks by foreign powers. Over the following decades, the fort on Alcatraz Island underwent upgrades and expansions, including constructing a large barracks and a series of gun emplacements. During the Civil War, the fort served as a military prison for Confederate soldiers and political prisoners. The decision to convert Alcatraz to a federal prison was made in 1933 by the United States Department of Justice. At that time, the federal government was looking for a high-security prison to house the most dangerous criminals in the country. Alcatraz Island in San Francisco Bay was selected for several reasons. First, its location made it an ideal spot for prison since it was isolated from the mainland and surrounded by water. Second, the rocky terrain on the island made it difficult to escape. Finally, the buildings on the island were already in place, having been previously used as a military prison. The conversion of Alcatraz to a federal prison required extensive renovations and upgrades to the existing buildings, including constructing a new cell house. The prison opened in 1934 and was designed to house the most dangerous and difficult to manage inmates, including notorious criminals such as Al Capone and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Over the years, Alcatraz gained a reputation as one of the toughest prisons in the United States. Inmates were subjected to strict rules and regulations and were constantly monitored by guards. The prison also gained a reputation for its harsh punishments, including solitary confinement and using the hole, a dark and cramped cell where inmates were sent as punishment. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary was home to many infamous criminals from 1934 to 1963. Some of the most notable inmates included Al Capone, a notorious gangster and bootlegger sentenced to Alcatraz for tax evasion. He spent 4.5 years on the island before being transferred to another prison. George Machine Gun Kelly, a notorious bank robber and kidnapper known for his violent crimes. He spent over 17 years in Alcatraz before being transferred to another prison. Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, a convicted murderer who became famous for his extensive study of birds while in prison. He spent 17 years in Alcatraz before being transferred out to another prison. The prison closure on Alcatraz Island was announced in 1963, and the prison officially closed on March 21, 1963. The decision to close the prison was made due to high operating costs, the deteriorating condition of the facility, and the fact that the prison's isolated location made recruiting and retaining staff quite challenging. Following the prison's closure, the island was transferred to the National Park Service in 1972, designated a National Historical Landmark in 1986. Today, Alcatraz Island is a popular tourist attraction in the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. Since its transfer to the National Park Service, efforts have been made to preserve and restore Alcatraz Island's buildings and natural habitats. The National Park Service has worked to stabilize and rehabilitate the historic structures on the island, including the cell house, guard quarters, and other buildings that are part of Alcatraz Island's historic district. In addition to preserving the buildings, the National Park Service has also worked to restore the natural habitat on the island. This includes the removal of invasive plant species and the restoration of native plant communities. The park has also implemented measures to protect and preserve the island's bird and animal populations. Alcatraz Island has played a significant role in American popular culture, particularly in films and TV shows. The island's history as a high-security prison has made it a popular subject for movies and TV shows about crime and punishment. Its isolated location and eerie atmosphere have added to its appeal as a setting for suspense and horror stories. Some of the most famous films and TV shows set on Alcatraz Island include Escape from Alcatraz in 1979, a movie starring Clint Eastwood that tells the story of the only successful escape from the prison. The Rock in 1996. This is a film starring Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage and tells the story of a hostage situation on Alcatraz Island. Overall, the prison buildings and infrastructure construction on Alcatraz Island was a massive undertaking that required extensive planning and engineering. The result was a state-of-the-art facility designed to be secure, efficient, and self-sufficient. Today, these historic buildings stand as a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the people who built them. Alcatraz Island's prison facilities were designed to be among the most secure and advanced of their time, with several unique design elements contributing to their further effectiveness. Two of the most notable design features were the silent cell blocks and the prison yard. The silent cell blocks were designed to minimize noise and communication among inmates. Each cell had a heavy steel door with a small slot through which food and other items could be passed, and a small window through which guards could observe the inmates. The cell blocks were designed to be as soundproof as possible, with thick concrete walls and ceilings that dampen noise from neighboring cells. The prison yard was another unique design feature of Alcatraz Island's prison facilities. It was a large outdoor area where inmates could exercise and socialize, but it was designed to be highly monitored and controlled. The yard was surrounded by high walls, topped with guard towers, and guards were strategically stationed to ensure inmates did not attempt to escape or engage in other prohibited activities. The yard also featured a unique design element called the listening post. This was a small elevated platform where guards could stand and listen to conversations among inmates below. The listening post was designed to help guards detect plans for escape or other illicit activities. Overall, the unique design elements of Alcatraz Island's prison facility contributed to their reputation as among the most secure and influential of their time. Today, these design features stand as a reminder of the island's fascinating history as a high-security prison. So, Alcatraz Island has a unique place in American history and culture. As a high-security federal prison for some of the country's most dangerous criminals, it represented the federal government's commitment to law and order and its determination to keep the public safe. At the same time, Alcatraz Island also represented a darker side of American history. The prison's harsh conditions, isolation, and strict discipline were often criticized as inhumane and degrading, and stories of violence, despair, and rebellion mark the island's history. What's your opinion on Alcatraz Island? Would you love to see it? Please let us know in the comment section below. This concludes today's video. Make sure you click the bell symbol for future videos, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.